Hey kids, this is Aaron from the podcast that wouldn't die, and Kevin and I use Zencastr. You think you're better than us, that you're using something else? You're wrong. Zencastr's the place to be. Who are you to deny it?
It's now super easy to record a podcast with Zencastr. Log in using your browser and start recording a high-quality podcast right away. Record studio-quality sound and up to 4K video with your guests. Go to zencastr.com/pricing and use our code DIEHARD and you'll get 30% off your first month of any Zencastr paid plan. We want you to have the same experiences we do for all our podcasting and content needs. It's time for you to share your story.
Only a fool will give up a chance for a 30% discount.
I can't believe that in half an hour, I will be a part of the Ladomus Gaming Dynasty Empire.
Dominion. We prefer Dominion.
I honestly can't wait to be a part of your family.
There's just one more thing. And then you are officially part of the family. So, at midnight, you have to play a game.
Why
It's just something we do when someone new joins the family.
a game? What game?
Welcome to the latest episode of the podcast that wouldn't die. I'm your host, Kevin. With me, as always, is Aaron.
Hey.
This week, we're discussing the new horror classic, Ready or Not, starring Samara Weaving.
Not from The Ring, I've been told.
It's a different Samara. Andy McDowell, Adam Brody, and a number of other people that you may recognize from various things. Each week on the podcast that wouldn't die, we discuss guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the horror and sci-fi genres with a comedic twist. Aaron, how you doing? What's the latest?
It is like a fucking hot swamp over here. I don't know what's going on. I've been wearing parkas to work in the classroom, and then
Yeah.
I woke up one day and it was 90 degrees.
That's a goddamn shit show.
What the hell? And now they've decided to switch over all our units to air conditioning. So now the jackets are back on. And people are like, it's 90 degrees, ma'am. I said, it's the residual frozenness from my classroom. I can literally sit outside in 100-degree weather for at least 20 minutes before I notice it's hot. I need to get the blood flowing into my extremities.
No, it's a whole thing. And in Long Beach, it's like you wear a coat in the morning and then you're like, I gotta strip down to like basically a tank top in the afternoon.
So you're just wearing a wife beater in class?
I have a big fur coat underneath just a filthy wife beater, like Dennis Franz or somebody.
I like that it's a fur coat
and
a wife beater.
100%. It's kind of the look.
So you're Macklemore. I'm gonna pop some tags. We got $20 in my pocket. You're Macklemore. I got you.
That's what I was going for. Sweet Jesus. Apropos of nothing, I watched a movie last night that we're not reviewing because I heard about it and it sounded kind of fun. It was called Velocipaster.
Okay.
And it was a horrible piece of shit.
Velociraptor who talks about Jesus?
Close. It is a pastor, a priest, who gets some kind of a weird dinosaur tooth that turns him into a velociraptor, and he fights crime.
That sounds so terrible.
It was freaking... Well, it's one of those, we're trying to make it so bad it's good. Like, that's what the goal is, which never freaking works.
When you try to do
Right.
it, has to happen naturally. You should have tried to play it serious. Then it would have been funny. You can't make this shit.
No, you can't. You have to do it all sincerely. And then the magic either happens or it doesn't. But it was lousy. I mean, the good thing about it is it was 71 minutes. So
nice.
I was... But even that seemed interminable. I was on my phone halfway through.
That seemed like 65 minutes too long.
You're telling me. It's like a funny, amusing thought that drifts through your head, and then you're like, well, that'll never work, and then you move on with your life. You don't make a movie about it.
Right.
So.
Or get someone to give you $2 million. I have this passing idea. Can I have $2 million? Why, sure.
If people just passing out a couple million, it's like, here I am, right? Here's my hand.
Pass the Dutchie on the left-hand side.
Can you give us your 30-second synopsis of Ready or Not, Aaron?
Oh, I mean, this chick is marrying this dude who's rich, and oh, surprise! And I assume this is going on at the Bezos and the Gates house. At midnight, you have to play this game. And it could be old maids, or it could be you hide while we hunt you. Guess what? Your boyfriend didn't tell you anything because he's a fucking pussy, and you just need to fucking kill everybody. Yay! She wins.
Spoiler alert. You don't seem very enthusiastic about this movie, I'm being honest.
At first, I was like, "Oh," and then it just seemed very kind of like I've seen this before. I've seen this shit before. They're trying to do like a black comedy, but it's not black enough, and it's not comedic enough. It's kind of like you knew. I mean, it was pretty predictable. You knew the boyfriend was not going to be the stand-up guy after all. You knew what was going to happen.
Fair. Had you ever heard of this movie before?
No. Who the hell told you to watch this?
No, I had seen ads for this a couple years back, and it seemed I'm always down for a horror comedy. I'm always down.
It seemed like it was going to be fun, kind of fun and wacky, and then it just kind of got a little boring.
Well, what's funny to me is watching it. I thought she was Margot Robbie when I first saw.
Oh, she's Fargo. She's faux Margot.
She is. She actually, it's a thing. They're basically the same age. They're both Australian. They're both blonde. Yeah. But it's like, take Margot Robbie.
Margot Robbie.
Do you know who Hugo Weaving is?
Is that even a name? That sounds like something someone does. Or maybe a manor in some kind of countryside village in England.
Okay. Hugo Weaving is an Australian actor who first rose to prominence in Priscilla, Queen of the Desert.
Oh, I know exactly who it is.
Oh, really? I thought it was a bizarre job that people have in Bulgaria or something.
Oh, I know exactly. You should have just said Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, because I've seen that movie about
he's
50
done
times.
other things since then. He was in the Matrix movies as Agent Smith.
Yes.
He was in the Lord of the Rings movie as Elrond.
Elrond Hubbard.
Elrond Hubbard. And he's done other things. But that's her uncle. Her uncle is Hugo Weaving. Okay. So take Margot Robbie and then add just a dollop of Hugo Weaving's face in there, and that's what she is. So it's kind of.
She was very attractive, cute, spunky. She's totally a Groupon Margot Robbie.
She's.
I wanted Margot Robbie. I can't afford Margot Robbie, but I do have this Groupon. Not to say she's not attractive or doing a good job, but she's a clone.
She's right. She is 15% less attractive than Margot Robbie, but still very attractive. She's good in this. She's was great. Fun. She had the right kind of attitude working on this.
Kicking ass, taking names.
Kicking ass, taking names. I had wanted to see this for a while. But honestly, it's not funny enough to be considered a comedy. Now, that doesn't mean, make no mistake. It's not that the jokes aren't landing. When there were jokes, I often chuckled. But it seemed like there weren't enough jokes in this. You know what I mean? What are your thoughts?
I mean, at first I was like, where would you hide? I was like, that kid's missing. The nanny walked out. I would have just crawled under one of the kids' beds.
Right? Well, that's okay. Let's just
How about the room where they shot the lady? Why didn't you stay there? There's no way they would have searched that entire house if you had just stayed put.
It is a freakishly huge country manor estate, essentially. It is like Downton Abbey or some shit. It is like a castle. So you're right.
With 1,000 secret doors.
find some little spot and shut the hell up. You're fine. You're fine. We should set the stage a little bit. She was raised in foster care and doesn't really have a family. So she
But
falls in
they
love
were
with
very
this.
nice. It wasn't
Right.
like she was raised in poverty. They loved her. She was raised in foster care, but it wasn't like
Yeah, but
they were bad to her. But she still wants a family, of course.
she wants a family. And the guy, her fiance, for the longest time had basically forsaken his family. He knew they were effed up. And he's like, you know what? I'm going away and I'm going to be with this woman. And he would have happily not married her, just lived with her for his entire life.
But she was not down with that.
She was not down with that. And that was the thing. He basically said, I knew you wanted to get married. And if I didn't marry you, I knew you'd leave me. So that's why I went along with this. Because that's the first hurdle. In retrospect,
it's her fault. First of all, that means it's her fault.
Well, and she kind of says that and kind of
Yes.
punches him like, oh, so it's my fault that all this is going down. Because that's the thing. If he married her, because it's all revealed later in the movie, basically, which it's bizarre, this family is like multi-billionaires, clearly, because
They're the Parker brothers.
They're
or
Bradley.
Hasbro or whatever. When they said gaming, I thought they meant like Vegas style gaming.
Board game.
It was more like, Parker Brothers. Or
it was Parker Brothers and Milton Bradley.
Yeah.
Which, as we all know, were multi-billionaires.
Yes.
Clearly.
At one point.
I don't think they were ever multi-billionaires. Let's be honest.
Well, the conglomerate owns them all now.
So. They were doing fine. I'm sure they were well off. They invested well. So, but that's the thing. The real reason why they were so wealthy is because 150 years ago, 200 years ago, whatever it was, the great-great-grandfather essentially sold his soul to the devil. And, as part of the deal, whenever somebody joins the family, so whenever somebody gets married, they got to play this game. And it's kind of like there's a crazy little box.
It's like a Russian roulette.
100%. And a game pops out. And like you said, it could be chess, it could be Old Maid, but every once in a while, they don't really say this, but they said like it happened once 17 years ago, or it happened once 30 years ago, whatever it was. Hide and seek pops out of the card, and that's the reveal. And hide and seek basically means we're going to hunt you down, and the only way for you to win is if you survive till dawn. But if you survive, then the rest of us blow up. That's the grand reveal, that we all die. And he kind of says this. He believes
it's the most dangerous game. They have to survive until the morning.
But that's the thing. They have to kill her. There's no way around it. They have to murder her because the rules say that or they'll all die. The same thing with her fiance. He's like, if I marry you, I can't just elope. We can't just run off together and get an elope, because if we do, then we all die. Like, if I marry you, then we have to come back here. We have to play the game and just cross our fingers that just something innocuous comes out.
How about
that's
this?
Basically what he's doing.
How about just tell your wife, here's the reason?
He can't do that.
Why?
Because then she'll leave him. That was his whole thing. He kept saying that if you realized who we really were, you'd leave.
He got what he got because you don't want to be with him anyway, because he's a liar.
Well, that's the whole part of this is that you knew in the end there was no third route, right?
Right.
If she lived, he was going to die, right? So he either is going to sacrifice himself.
But nobody was 100% sure on this.
Because they had never tested it.
And yet, all these young people were ready to just start, even though it had never happened in their time, they're all ready to grab a gun and start hunting someone.
Right. Well, I think the reason they do that, because one of the kids, there's the younger sister who's a coke addict and kind of a dingbat.
Right.
she's married to some douchebag in France and they missed the wedding. They show up after the wedding to participate in the event. They have 2 kids. One of them's name is Georgie. And they establish that that kid is kind of just as evil because he takes a shot at her and shoots her in the hand.
Right.
The reason they do that is because when they all start blowing up, those kids blow up too because they're
Yes.
part of the family.
Because they're part of the family.
And that would be horrible.
Why doesn't she blow up as she is also part of the family?
Because that's an interesting question. I think what it is that you have to prove you're one of them. That there's some aspect of you have to prove you're one of us. And I think by surviving and kind of defeating them, she proved that she was better than them, that she wasn't one of them. That's how I took it. Now they don't say that. Although when you see the ghostly devilish character in the chair, he kind of gives her like a thumbs up or a nod of the head or nice work.
Does that mean she inherits everything?
Right? Doesn't it seem like that?
Because by the end, she's smoking mom's cigarettes. She's part of it. She's the next generation.
But does that mean she didn't agree to this curse, right? So is the curse over?
Okay, who agrees to the curse? She's just part of the curse.
Oh, well, I don't know, because there are people who married into it.
She married into it.
I'll tell you what. This is the thing about it, and this is kind of this goes along with what you were saying. Like people who had not been alive the last time they hunted a person were all in on it. They're like, okay. They kind of felt bad about it when she pulled the card, like hide and seek. They all kind of go, well, that's a bummer. But they all were like, let's do this. Like it lickety split.
Why would you even believe it? You know what I mean? They're like, I had to play old maid. I had to play chess.
Right. Why would you? And that's the question. When they pulled the card, when they got married, and it was chess, and everyone went, whew, and they played chess and it was over, did they then go, by the way, if you would have pulled hide and seek, we would have murdered you.
Yeah.
And if in the future
your husband didn't tell you anything about it.
Correct.
And now your children are cursed too.
And your children just inherit the curse. And if somebody else joins the family, we'll all have to murder that person conceivably. So get on board.
I'm reading the end of the movie. As soon as she pulled out mom's cigarettes and lit the cigarette, she's cursed.
But she didn't blow up.
No, she's the next generation. She wins. She's the head of the family.
You think that's what it is?
Lineage. No. But she can choose, unless her brain's all effed up, she can choose to
just never marry anybody, and that's the end of it.
Just never marry in, and that's the end of it.
Never have children.
Never have children. I mean, why do you want children that are sworn to the devil?
Fair.
Unless she's into it now.
Well, because that's the thing. It's like there's a brother who married into the family, and there's a sister-in-law who married into the family. And they're both kind of portrayed as being kind of horrible people.
Right. Well, and horrible people marry horrible people.
Right.
That's a love connection then.
Well, and Adam Brody plays the older brother of the fiance, who's an alcoholic, they established, is always trying to hit on her, allegedly.
Right.
But he's revealed to be the one character with a soul, essentially.
He quenches it because he goes back and forth. He sets her up, he frees her. He sets her up, he frees her. So he's at least conflicted. Her husband is not so conflicted.
Well, he is helping her. The fiance is actively trying to help her. He's smashing the control boards. He's trying to open up the doors. He's doing all sorts of stuff. At first,
until he hears everyone talk about how he really is going to be the next head of the family. He's in earshot of all of that. And then things change.
I don't think so. I think it changes when he walks in and sees his brother is dead, who is the brother that he has the connection with.
Right, he's dead. So why are you saving the rest of these people?
And he sees that the mom is dead, that his mom's been killed. Then he walks in and has a conversation, and he basically looks at her and goes, there's no way you're gonna be with me after this, is there? And that was it. He flipped the switch, and now he's all in. I'm not justifying why he did it.
He's a piece of shit.
He has to
in
be
that situation, and now I don't love you. I don't love you is basically what it is. Because if it is I love you, then I'm still gonna help you get out. But if the love is
Right.
conditional on the fact that you're gonna be with me, then he is an asshole.
He has to be
from jump.
right.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like what he
Because
could.
who is he saving? He's saving the assholes, the
Right.
people who
Well, he's saving himself too.
And well, he's not so sure that half of the young people are not like really sure that this is a real thing.
Well, they're sure enough to try to murder her, right?
I mean, the one person, most of the in-laws were, I'd rather be dead than poor, or I'd rather be dead than not have this lifestyle. Not even poor, just not have the. It was very White Lotus. That's what Parker Posey says. I would rather be dead than lose what we have here. I could never go back to having to work, or she's too comfortable.
Well, they kind of established that. Like even Andie MacDowell, they made she really played up her accent like she was kind of from the wrong side of the tracks kind of thing. Kind of like very much like, yes, I was just like you before I married into this. So it was very much like
before I sold my soul.
Correct. Well, and there's a scene where Adam Brody is talking to his wife about Samara Weaving, saying basically like, she hasn't sold her soul. She still has her soul. That's why you don't like her, or something along those lines. That's why she's different than us. She still has her soul, which just seemed like a throwaway line. And then, of course, it's revealed, she is the only one who still has her soul, literally.
Let's think back. There was a conversation that her husband is the only person alive that has seen the little devil until the wife.
That's true.
Off. That's how we know she's done for.
Okay, maybe so.
No, not maybe so. Case closed.
Meeting adjourned.
Your Honor. Meeting adjourned.
Mistrial. So the first time we see, like, I guess it's kind of those black comedy elements is the fact that their French maids or whatever they are keep getting killed on accident. Right? They shoot the first, which we got to go back. This is insane. They put the grandkids to bed, and they have Chloe or whatever her name is reading them a bedtime story. And she falls asleep and wakes up, and one of the kids has gotten out of bed and has gone into the house. That is insane. Why are those doors not freaking locked? Right? You're going to let these kids walk out into potentially a war zone with bullets flying and crossbow bolts?
Why did you bring your kids, motherfucker?
Right. Leave those kids at home.
Maybe you have to, because we see in the flashbacks that her husband is there when an uncle gets killed.
Right. Well, because that's the movie starts out with back in the 80s or whatever it is. This kind of thing had happened before, where it's like, here's the dude in the tuxedo with like an arrow sticking out of him, bumps into one of the kids and says, help me or something along those lines. And the kid gives him up. He's here. And the reveal is the crazy old aunt with the weird flat top or whatever it is. Yeah. She was the one whose husband was murdered back then, and now she's just evil. She just has like an evil like expression every time they show her, growling, and it was very bizarre. I thought it was going to be a reverse reveal
of the family.
I thought it was going to be a reverse reveal where she was kind of grouchy because she wasn't down for this. No, but it wasn't that way at all.
She's saying she wished she'd been the one who killed her husband.
Yes, she said she should have been. She should
the
have
love
done
of her life.
Right. 100%.
Yeah. They're
There's
double
some
dipping the Satan there.
right. There's other interesting moments where Samara Weaving escapes and she beats up the butler, the chef, whatever the hell he is,
He's
takes his
immortal.
car.
What? She's strangling him, and he's clearly
Yes!
saying like, "That's bullshit. You can't do that." Was added later.
She steals the car and she's talking to OnStar
Yeah.
and is like, call the cops, call the cops. Oh, sorry. Your car has been reported stolen. I'm going to have to shut off the engine. And he's like, is there anything else I can do for you? Yeah, you can go fuck yourself.
Like
And he's
that.
like, okay, well, the cops
All
will be
right,
there in a minute.
baby. All right,
Thanks
man.
a lot. There, overall, I thought it was kind of a I don't want to say pleasant because that's not at all what it was, but it was mildly enjoyable. I'm not going to say it was wildly enjoyable. I thought it was mildly enjoyable. What are your thoughts?
Well, I thought it started off with some promise.
Yeah.
Like it was going to be kind of wacky and like, oh, okay. And then I just got bored.
Fair enough. My daughter Lucy watched the entire movie.
Oh my God.
Boom.
Because you tied her to the chair.
Tied her to a chair.
And
No,
what was the review?
She liked it.
Okay, well
She
then
liked
there's
it.
something wrong. You
No,
need to-
no. Look,
There's something terribly wrong with your daughter.
this is a feminist movie because the main character's female and she's kicking ass. How about them apples?
How about half the people trying to kill her are also women?
Okay, so
Just
that
because a
cancels out.
woman is in the movie, does that make it a feminist movie?
She is the hero. She does not need any help from anybody else. She handles her biz.
Her soul belongs to Satan. Is that
According
mean she's
to
the hero?
you, her soul belongs
That's
to Satan.
facts.
That's
That's
That's facts.
So I Spit on Your Grave, feminist movie. I mean,
Well,
come on.
she does.
Half the women were trying to kill her.
Well, maybe that's the ultimate form of feminism when the villains can
30
also
years
be women.
before they were killing the husband.
Yes.
Was that a manamist movie?
It was a manamist movie. Yes. That's not a word, but that's what it is.
What is the masculine form of feminist?
There isn't one.
Oh, there is on the dark web somewhere.
I'm sure there is. There's certain Oathkeeper websites you could find some definitions. Let's
Where
go behind.
do all your incel friends post? Ask them.
I will. What is it? Does Parlay still exist?
Parlay.
Let's check it out. Shall we go behind the scenes?
Yeah, you might as well. We talked this shit to death. We're gonna be
We
done.
might as
This is
well.
gonna be like a 15-minute webisode.
There might be. Who's to say? Let's see. 17 different versions of Grace's wedding dress were created, depending on where she is in the evening. Like,
My, that is interesting.
I thought so. Samara Weaving had to be taught how to drive, or at least how to look like she's driving. So there you go.
Another interesting point.
Would you
What
shut the
else
hell
we
up?
got? You got a whole sack full of them. Let's talk about why she was screaming like a goat by the end. After
was
she
screaming
fell
like
in
a
the
goat.
contaminated body pit in the goat farm. Rich people who have a barn full of goats, are Satanists.
Well, okay. Why did they have a barn full of goats?
For their satanic rituals. I think
But they
she was
didn't
supposed
bring
to
a
have
goat
sex with
in
the
for
goat.
that.
She was going to have sex with the goat.
Would you shut the hell? There's no goat sex in this movie.
I swear that's what the old man said. That's why she was strapped to that table and all spread legs.
They just stabbed her. Okay. Anyway,
They missed.
sweet Jesus.
Why do they have a goat and then a giant body pit? I mean, that doesn't seem like it's hygienic, nor does it seem like a good way to dispose of bodies. Just have an open hole full of body. I mean, Uncle Fester's in there. He still had some meat on him.
He still had some meat. And then she's climbing out of the pit and there's a nail sticking up. And she has a hole in her hand where the kid shot her. And she has to jam that nail through the hole in her hand to pull
Dude.
herself out of the pit. Good stuff.
She got shot in the head between dipping it in Glopus dead body soup, then the tetanus. She was going to die. She had to give her soul to Satan because she was going to die anyway. They were going to have to take off that arm at like the shoulder because infection was running rapid.
They only had 5 candelabras, so they had to keep moving them around to populate rooms and hallways where needed. How about that?
How about that?
They submitted nearly 200 fictional board game names, but only 8 or so were cleared by the legal department. There you go.
Don't Touch My Eye. What were some of them?
It was Don't Touch My Eye. That's a popular game.
Whose finger is that?
Those aren't pillows.
Those aren't pillows.
The Pepperbox revolver wielded by Amelie has been a version of the gun weapon in the North American edition of the game Clue since 1972. How about that?
I thought it was a blunderbuss or something.
That's a different one. Within LaVeyan Satanism, the term Shem Hamaphorash is used during rituals as outlined in the Satanic Bible, and it's essentially the equivalent of Hallelujah. So
we were talking about my friend who's a Satanist.
Yep.
It was the Anton LaVey Bible.
There it is.
He used to go to a coven or whatever in Oakland.
Margot Robbie was considered...
It's a lot of unattractive people having group sex. So just imagine that.
I'd rather not imagine that if it's all the same to you.
It's kind of like in Midsummer when there's all those ladies. Now match it with men. And in a group grope.
We've said that it's basically like watching an episode of Real Sex on HBO back in the 90s, where it's not attractive people doing it. Let's be honest.
All right.
Margot Robbie was considered for the role of Grace before Samara Weaving was cast.
Because they saw how much Margot Robbie wanted.
They said, let's get low rent Samara Weaving.
I do love Margot Robbie, but I want her to do
too.
less. I do want her to do less superhero bullshit.
Fair.
I hate fucking superhero stuff. I'm so sick of it.
The goat pit was the only set built for this film. Well, that's good to know.
Wow.
Hate to think the goat pit was there on its own. Sweet Jesus. Let's look at the cast and crew, shall we?
Who played Black Phillip in this?
That is a good question. Back-to-back devil worship movies. How about that? Yeah. After The Witch. Let's see. Directors, actually 2 directors. The first one is Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette.
Hired?
No, they're like a team.
Like the Coen brothers.
Pretty much. They're known for directing Abigail in 2024.
Unfamiliar.
You are absolutely familiar with Abigail. You told me about it. It's with the vampire ballerina.
Oh, shit. I saw that at the theater. I already blacked it out.
Sweet Jesus.
I watched it and I said, we're not going to record that.
They also directed Scream 2022 and Scream 6 in 2023, in addition to...
Not impressed. Not impressed.
Fair enough. Let's see. Samara Weaving played Grace. You know her from such things as Ready or Not in 2019. 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri in 2017.
I never saw that. That was on my list at one time.
Guns Akimbo.
Oh, no, I did see that. I did see that movie. That was a great movie.
Guns Akimbo in 2019 and Mayhem in 2017. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
What else? I know they played. They were in Bill and Ted Face the Music, which was the recent sequel, where she played one of their daughters. So there you go. Adam Brody played Daniel, the drunken.
I always
brother-in-law.
liked Adam Brody. He was
great.
on Gilmore Girls. He was Lane's boyfriend. And he, of course, was in Jennifer's Body.
He was great in
I
Jennifer's
always
Body.
thought he was solid, but he's really not breaking through.
Becky and I just saw him on something on Netflix. He was on a TV series with I can't remember her name. I'm having these senior moments. It was where he's a rabbi and she is a non-Jewish person, and their struggles in their
Vampire
relationship.
hunting. There's
No.
a rabbi, a vampire hunter. Can they make it work?
No, has nothing to do with that. He was in 92 episodes of The OC from 2003 to 2007, playing Seth
Never
Cohen.
saw it. Never saw it.
Well, I always tell people, no one called it The OC until the show came out called The OC.
Which is weird because,
Yes.
Los Angeles is by there. You would think they know what things are called.
Correct. It was just called OC. We're going to OC, not The OC. Anyway, now it is The OC. Thank you very much.
Bastards.
Ready or Not in 2019, Mr. and Mrs. Smith in 2005, In the Land of Women in 2007. Oh, the series was called Nobody Wants This. Came out last year, 10 episodes on Netflix, starring Kristen Bell. That was the actress that he was opposite, and we enjoyed it.
All right.
Let's see. Who are the other cast members?
He has aged well, I will say. He really doesn't look like he's aged much since Gilmore Girls. He looks great.
He's a handsome devil. Henry Czerny played Tony, the father, who has been in a ton of stuff. He was in Mission Impossible in 1996, Clear and Present Danger opposite Harrison Ford in 1994, The Pink Panther in 2006, and Ready or Not in 2019. Let's see. And we've got, of course, Andie MacDowell's in this one. She plays Becky. You know her from such
Four
things.
Weddings and a Funeral.
Four Weddings and a Funeral in 1994. Groundhog Day in 1993.
She's
Sex,
really
Lies,
not a
and
good
Videotape.
actress, but she was very attractive in her youth.
It's funny. She's actually not bad now, but she was cast back in, I believe it was 84, in The Legend of Greystoke, opposite Christopher Lambert. It was the Tarzan movie.
Mm-hmm.
And her acting was so lousy, they hired Glenn Close to be her voiceover.
Yeah. You
Back
really
in
need to
84.
limit her because she is attractive and she was fine in Four Weddings and a Funeral, but it's, you're not handing her Hamlet. She's costing it up, that's for sure.
You're mean. 1984, Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan.
I'm telling it like it is.
She was in St. Elmo's Fire. She was in Green Card. She's in a million things.
Dude, I saw Green Card because I loved Gerard Depardieu.
Gerard Depardieu.
Depardieu. I used to watch all these French. Maman of the Spring. Jean de Florette. I used to watch all these fucking foreign films.
You still watch all those fucking foreign films. Let's be honest.
Well, Gerard Depardieu is a little canceled these days.
Oh,
Canceled.
One thing I didn't mention is that in the final scene of Ready or Not, where everyone's blowing up, it was her idea to start laughing because she felt like that was how her character would feel about winning, essentially. So the director's like, sure. So she's laughing all through the explosions of the
But she
gore and
sounds like
viscera.
a fucking goat. So I thought that was another tip. She was like, hey.
She did not sound like
oh
a goat.
my fucking God, Kevin, go watch
you.
it. She was like, hey.
She did snort, which I thought was cute. She did not sound like a goat.
We had whole scenes with goats, and now she's goating it up. Yeah.
She's
Watch
goating it up.
That's how she's laughing. It sounded like a
believe
goat.
Let's look at the ratings,
Santa
shall we?
Maria, Jesus Cristo. Look at the ratings.
Ready or Not on Rotten Tomatoes currently has 89% fresh. Boom. You know what the audience gave it?
This is what happens when you eliminate critical thinking from schools. You get 89% fresh for Ready or Not.
Do you know what the audience gave it?
The audience gave it a 64.
78.
Yeah.
Boom. Peter Travers from Rolling Stone had something to say. And it was, what a decadent blast to watch a comic takedown of the rich done with the rude energy of a horror thriller and the courage of its own manic anti-marriage convictions. 3.5 out of 5. How about that?
He just gets paid to say crazy, ridiculous, way too nice things.
Amy Nicholson from
He
Film
sold-
Week.
He sold his soul.
Perhaps. Amy Nicholson from Film Week says, it's predictable and sometimes a bit unsteady, but it was fun. What do you think about that? Disagree? Hard disagree?
Let's say that I didn't like Knives Out, and this is so much less than that.
Well, they're very different, Aaron.
Are
They're
they?
not the same thing.
Are they?
And
is that right?
We've got our patron saint, the GPT, the ChatGPT AI edition of Rex Reed. Rex, what is your review? Not really, Rex. What is your review of Ready or Not? This is what ChatGPT had to say. Ready or Not is what happens when Clue gets drunk on Red Bull and slasher cliches, gory, goofy, and more fun than it has any right to be, even if it thinks it's cleverer than it is. So, thank you for that, Rex Reed. Aaron, what is your review of Ready or Not?
My review is you got to get ChatGPT to also do it in the voice of Rex Reed.
Is that a thing? Maybe it's a thing.
Know.
You don't like my voice? Is that what you're saying?
It's no Rex Reed, sir. My review is starts off strong, becomes predictable and banal, boring. I am gonna give it a solid 2.5 out of 5. Satan, take me away from this boring depth of despair. I feel like if I was the horse and Atreyu was trying to pull me out of the swamp, I'd say, Atreyu, just let go.
You take Atreyu with you, is what you do.
Come here, little motherfucker. You're going down too. Let me go, Atreyu.
I disagree. I disagree.
No, because you're wrong.
You clearly hate this movie. I do not hate it. I thought it was decent.
I was robbed of a good time.
I wished it would have been a little funnier. Other than that, I thought it had genuine, good, strong moments. I'm going to give it 3.75 out of 5. So
what?
Yep.
What?
I enjoyed it. I didn't
you
love
rated
it.
Almost the same as Salem's Lot. No. I take that back. The Shining. I think that's the same rating for The Shining.
It is. I said
I don't even
Shining,
know. You don't even know your rating scale.
I said Shining, 2.25. Ready or Not, 3 3.75.
5.0. 5.0.
5. Can I go above 5 for this one? I think that's the best thing to do.
It goes to 11.
It is decent. Maybe a little bit better than decent. I'm not saying I need to see it again. It's fine. But if I was walking through a room and somebody was watching it, I might pull up a chair and watch a little bit of it. I didn't hate it. So there you go. How you like them apples? No can do?
I can't go for that. No.
Any last thoughts of Ready or Not?
I may have liked it slightly more than Ready Player One if we're discussing movies with the word ready in it.
Fair. So, thank you very much. Go to our page across social media. We're on Threads, we're on Blue Sky, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube. You could be watching our smiling faces right now.
Angelic faces.
Angelic, cherubic. You can email us, the podcast that wouldn't die, at
Gmail.
We're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere the finer podcasts are available. So don't forget to like, share, rate, and review. won't you?
Won't you please?
Aaron, what is your social media situation?
I'm on Flickr and I am on the gram. The Cult of Aaron. Join the cult. I have some artwork and Instant Dreams Gallery on First Dibs and Artsy. Check it out. Polaroid, baby. Polaroid.
Boom, boom, boom. So check out that good stuff. Next week, we're doing a movie I have never seen and Aaron has never seen before. It's called
Uh-oh.
The Blackening. It is, let me read this to you. I saw this.
Is
I was
that like
watching.
the book Black Like Me? Is this racist? What's happening?
That's a deep pull. That's a deep pull. Sweet Jesus. No, I was watching on Shudder or AMC. There's a series called Horror's Greatest, and one of the movies they talked about was called The Blackening. Let me read this to you. 7 black friends go away for the weekend only to find themselves trapped in a cabin with a killer who has a vendetta. They must pit their street smarts and knowledge of horror movies against the murder to stay alive. It's a horror comedy. So there you go.
All right. We'll give
So
it a
we'll
shot.
see. We'll see.
Kevin Hart in it.
Now that's
Is
the most
Idris
racist
Elba
thing
in
you've
it?
ever said. Why does Kevin Hart have to be in this one?
Because I love Kevin Hart.
Fair
Who's
enough.
in it?
No one you know. How about that?
Fantastic. How do you know who I know?
I know many things. Where can you watch The Blackening? If you have Stars, it's on there for
No.
free.
No.
It's on Philo. I'm unfamiliar with that, with a subscription.
Like pedophilo?
Yes, that's exactly what I meant. It's on Apple TV, Amazon Prime, YouTube, and Fandango at home for the low price of $3.99. So it's a thing. So check it out. Send in your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and maybe we'll talk about it on the show. So thank you very much, and be well.
Be well, children.